Hey everyone, Jeremy Scheinwald, founder and president of mbaMission here with a very tough task. GMAT Club has asked me to give you a crash course in essay writing. I effectively wrote a book on this topic. You can find it actually for free on our website if you'd like to download it. There are 2 chapters in full dedicated to essays, but it kind of permeates the entire book. So 5 to 10 minutes, it's going to be tough. I will do my best. Let's go. Rule 1, answer the question. A lot of people will forget to read the question, or they'll read it and start writing and deviate from the question, and they are not necessarily answering the question. Don't start writing about your greatest attributes and forget the context and forget the audience. Kind of obvious, but oft forgotten actually. But more important, don't tell the admissions committee what you think they want to hear. Tell them about yourself and your values and your experiences. If you're applying to Harvard, you shouldn't be telling about rousing leadership every 3 lines. If you're applying to Stanford, it shouldn't be all about how you're the greatest entrepreneur if you're not the greatest entrepreneur. If you're applying to Kellogg, it shouldn't be about marketing. Kellogg isn't all about marketing anyway. And what happens is you end up watering down what you're trying to say to the admissions committee. You end up telling them something about who you are not rather than who you are. And that isn't what the application process is about or the essay writing process is about. Your essay is there to give a sense of who you are, not what you perceive the school wants you to be. And you're trying to own your application. You're trying to show how you're different and how your life experiences allow you to share something interesting with the class, and how, in fact, rather than being something homogenous, you are your own individual and you have your own purpose in the class. So really think about answering the question in your voice and in your own way in order to own your candidacy. Okay, that's rule 1. Rule 2 is kind of related. Start with the right idea. Brainstorm and think about all aspects of your life. You can't just start writing and turn a bad idea into a strong essay with adjectives. It doesn't work that way. So start by thinking about your core identities, all of your professional identity, your community identity, your quasi-community identity, things like, if you're, say, an excellent mentor at the office, it might not be the classic non-profit organization engagement. That's okay. It's still an identity that the school might want to know about. Think about your personal life. A lot of people think that this is business school. Why would I talk about my personal life? Your personal life is relevant. They're attempting to get a sense of who you are and what drives you. So we say, start with those identities and then think about how you can inventory successes or even failures within those identities and really get to those moments of impact. And you'll try and get to this point where you have these micro examples that represent you extremely well. And then examine the values that you exhibited in those moments, in those micro examples. And once you do that, you'll have this is a very simplified output for an individual, but you'll have an output where you can start to kind of look through and say, okay, I've got all of these, and all these little micro examples of where I've been a strong performer, and I can look through them and say, okay, are there threads, are there themes? How can I optimize within a school's different essays and say, okay, I'm giving a very coherent sense of myself. I'm keeping the reader learning and interested in my essays so that they, out of the many people, they have a very vivid picture of who I am. So this would be a sample. You have the project manager, health committee leader, theater board member, and standout grandson. Those are the identities. And then under them, you have specific accomplishments, and this individual would mine those accomplishments in order to get a set to really kind of harvest, for lack of a better term, I guess, harvest a picture of their own, of his or her own values. And then that person would take a narrative approach in order to exhibit those values. So what does a narrative really mean? Well, it means that you're sharing a story about yourself rather than telling the reader who you are. So if I were to say my best qualities are that I'm dedicated and compassionate, I can't help but feel empathetic towards all people and animals. So I've been volunteering in a no-kill animal shelter for several years. It warms my heart every time I see a puppy rescued. This is This could be any individual who volunteers at any no-kill animal shelter. There's no color, no sense of values here that are revealing that dedication or compassion. And so the individual isn't owning the experience. But if you show your experience, if you were to say, how many posters must you affix to lampposts to find a stray dog's owner? I've learned that in Brooklyn, the answer is usually 2 per block for 50 square blocks. I always post on Fridays so that people will notice the flyers over the weekend. In the past 2 years, I've easily posted more than 20,000 notices. This person is creating an image that an admissions reader could remember the next day. Oh yeah, there's that person who put 20,000 notices up. Not there's that person who just kind of told me they were dedicated and compassionate. In this image, this person is saying I'm dedicated and compassionate. They're saying I'm empathetic. They're saying it warms my heart. And they're saying it with subtlety because they're telling it through a narrative. And that narrative approach, it's not like, hey, you write with a narrative, you get into business school, but that narrative approach gives you the best chance to connect with your audience and buy that share of brain that you want them to have where they remember you a couple days later. This first part here, not memorable. The second part gives you that shot. So why a narrative? Well, a narrative is, it's based on first person perspective. It is simple. So this is not a, the words here aren't overly sophisticated. How many posters must you affix to lampposts? I guess affix is the strongest, most sophisticated word there. I've learned that in Brooklyn, the answer is usually 2 per block. This is not actually a terribly sophisticated way of learning, of writing. It's just one where we follow the story along and come to a logical conclusion, and the anecdote itself is revealing of who you are. It's a humble way to write, which is really important. So it's not a creative writing contest. It allows you to find your voice. Okay, moving along. We're doing okay here. Rule 4, develop your goals. If you have the opportunity, not every school requires you to develop your goals, Harvard being one where they don't ask you about your goals explicitly. But if they do, if they do have a classic kind of goal statement, what are your goals and why our school? Well, develop those goals. So the mistake people make is they talk in general terms of wants. So when I graduate, I will continue on my path in the wine industry. Here we've got someone who's been in the wine industry before, only now on the manufacturing side. I hope to join a small vineyard and apply the skills I learned in business school to the betterment of the organization. In the future, I'll seek to start or purchase a vineyard and employ the techniques I've learned in my in my career during my entrepreneurial days. So the individual at the top this is what I call the insidious B. This is a B answer, and this person probably doesn't realize it because he or she means it. They really mean that they want to be, following up in the wine industry in the future. But there's no application of this individual's background, and it's not clear why this person will be good at this job. They're just kind of saying, oh, I hope to join a small vineyard, and I'll learn some skills in business school to make that happen. And maybe in the future I'll purchase a vineyard. But there isn't context, and this person hasn't put the pieces together. They're saying, look, here's where I've been in my career, and I've got certain skills that I need to develop in order to get where I want to go in my career. So with my background as a wine journalist, I'm well aware of the traditional aspects of the winemaking industry and recognize that many vintners are slow to adapt to modern manufacturing and marketing techniques. Bing! We know that this person is now saying, hey, this industry needs someone who can help it adapt. Okay, with my MBA, I'll have the specific entrepreneurial and operational skills necessary to develop a small vineyard and nurture it so that it realizes its full potential. In my first position, I see myself as a general manager of an antiquated vineyard in the ABC wine region, implementing operational efficiencies, accessing capital for growth, and marketing a superior product nationally and even internationally. This person knows, hey, I've been a journalist. I can pick up MBA skills, apply them to my industry, bring efficiency, access capital, and make vineyards start to work. This is a coherent, cohesive idea. That's where you need to be. You need to really have a vision for where this MBA is going to take you. Then you need to connect with your target. So one of the biggest mistakes we see applicants make is they actually have great profiles, but then the school asks them, hey, can you explain how we can help you achieve your goals? And they don't do it terribly well. And so the school's saying, look, I've got 10,000 applicants here, or 6,000, or whatever that school has. And, you know, I've got lots of people who can explain why they want to be here, how the school will help them get there. And I've got this guy here, this Jeremy here, who he can't articulate it. And so I don't know if he's done his homework. I don't know if he understands what our resources are. I may as well accept someone else. So you don't want to be that person. Instead, of the top here, where you say Columbia is a great school for entrepreneurs and New York City is an exciting place for you to take professional risks because so many great fortunes have been built there. Instead of doing that, you're going to do the bottom. But what's wrong with the top? Well, it's kind of a fill in the blank answer. If I said, you know, Harvard is a great school for entrepreneurs and Boston is an exciting place for me to take professional risks because so many great fortunes have been built there. I really believe that the Rock Center for Entrepreneurship offers the wealth of resources I need to take my next step as an entrepreneur. That would be true of another school. This is so generic. Again, this person probably means it, but this is so generic that another school could simply be subbed in. But what if this person shows that kind of intentionality and instead says, and as an aspiring entrepreneur in the online education field, I know that flexibility will be crucial to my success, that I'll need to constantly challenge my assumptions. For this reason, I'd seize the opportunity to participate in the entrepreneurial sounding board process by scheduling a session with Russell Sarter, whose vast experience in online education will no doubt lead to an invaluable critique of my ideas. This person understands exactly what Columbia Business School can offer him. And this person will go on. This is just a couple of sentences. But this person is saying, I've done my homework. I know why I want to be here. I know what I'm going to get out, and I get out of the program. And I know how Columbia is critical to my growth. It's not just I want to be at Columbia, it's a great school. It's I need Columbia and its specific resources in order to get where I want to go. And if you can do those two things, if you can both develop your goals and connect with your target, then you have a sense of you have the ability to really say to the school, look, I'm a very focused, motivated individual who understands why I want my MBA at this program, and that will go a long way towards compelling them to give you that letter of acceptance. So using that narrative form in your personal essays, and again, even in this essay, in a career MBA essay, will give you the ability to convey the information, and then you do the homework, and you've got a great 1-2 punch. And that is really already the end of my crash course. I hope that was helpful. There's so much more I have to say. It's painful for me. Take us up on a free consultation. If you have your own questions about your own approach and what you want to say, or simply about your candidacy, take us up on those free guides as well. And good luck with your essay writing process. I wish everyone the best.